When you think of 2000s fashion, what comes to mind? Baggy jeans and tees, colorful and mismatched palettes, or what about chunky footwear like DC shoes? The 2000s was a non-stop fashion battle amongst the ever-changing industry. Take the juicy fit that Paris Hilton would wear for an example. But one brand that I can think of that would take the world by storm in the 2000s was none other than Phat Farm Shoes. While the brand itself was a clothing line for women and men, the shoes would take Phat Farm to the next level of being a pop culture icon. When thinking of Phat Farm, the shoes are the first thing that come to mind, right? White chunky footwear with the letter P in the middle. These things were just everywhere in the 2000s. If you didn't have a pair of these on while rolling up to school, you just didn't have the rizz. I myself remember having 2 pairs for that fact after having begged my mom so I could be seen as a next Little John. Yeah, crazy, right? When you would walk into the mall, the first thing that would catch your eye were Phat Farm shoes. Usually they were on sale for a reasonable price and could match with just about any fashion trend of the time. But as fast as fashion changes, so would these beloved shoes. What happened to Phat Farms, and are lawsuits the reason why it disappeared? Phat Farm shoes were a staple of the 2000s. There was not a place that you couldn't go without seeing someone random either with the colorful lace shoes that they had offered or a shirt with the P logo to help drive more sales. Phat Farms had become the industry standard in the mid-2000s thanks to films, fashion shows, and most importantly, hip-hop. The interesting rizz behind this beloved brand had started in the early to mid-90s by none other than Russell Simmons. Russell had already been successful in the music industry working alongside Rick Rubin under Def Jam Recordings, which had created a new sound by combining rock and hip-hop, giving us artists like the Beastie Boys and Run DMC. While Russell is related to Run DMC and its success, it definitely was not the driving force to Phat Farm. Russell wanted to venture off to other landscapes in hip-hop culture, bringing Phat Farm into existence. This brand would not only be a leader to how influencers of today have their own lines, but it would also be the forefront of the next hip-hop movement, which was fashion. As quick as the Phat Farm brand would be in every bit of pop culture, it would see its demise from the ever-changing industry and the lawsuits behind Russell's name in the late 2000s, giving people incentive to leave the brand in the past. By 2004, Russell would sell the Phat Farm brand for a mid-100 mil to Calwood Apparel. This sell-off, however, was not the complete downfall of Phat Farm. Russell would see that there was an oversaturation of popular artists creating their own brands into the market, which was the start of the Phat Farm downfall. Brands like Famous that had been created behind Travis Barker from Blink-182 were the next wave of fashion in the mid-2000s. DC Shoes behind Rob Dyrdek had made a come up and started to be a dominating force in footwear, mainly because of Dyrdek's skateboarding skill, but also because of his hit TV show Robin Big that would air on MTV. Realistically, fashion was shifting so much and so quickly that the Phat Farm brand would be phased out by the 2010s. Skinny jeans with oversized sports tees and chunky footwear were becoming the next pop culture trend in hip-hop, aka swag. If you haven't seen my video on that trend of the 2000s, I highly recommend checking it out. Another contributing factor to Phat Farm's falling short was due to the allegations and lawsuits behind Russell Simmons, which had made the brand seen as a more negative light. These allegations and lawsuits were stemming from alleged sexual assaults that happened in the 1990s while Russell was still under Def Jam Recordings. All of these key factors and the negative press around Phat Farm would make the brand fall at the end of the 2000s. While there is some negative history behind Phat Farms as a whole, the brand itself would leave a mark in pop culture for years to come. Like I said in the beginning, when you think Phat Farm, the shoes with the P logo come to mind. This has led us older generations remembering a brand that was influential in the 2000s. Phat Farms had been the start of the next industry standard, which was pop artists and influencers creating their own brands to push on consumers. Artists like Rihanna with her makeup line Fenty, or Jeffree Star in his multiple palettes, all had influence from Phat Farms. It wasn't just brand recognition, as it had also reshaped fashion and music in hip-hop culture. You could say that Phat Farm created an image that was seen in music videos like Money in the Bank by Lil Scrappy. Phat Farms was the leading industry standard in the 2000s, and it still remains to be relevant in current pop culture. Phat Farm shoes were a defining moment of the 2000s. I will never forget walking around the mall window shopping and seeing them on sale for a fairly reasonable price at the time. That P logo that matched the color of the laces on the shoes are forever burnt into my mind. And these beloved shoes were just everywhere in the 2000s. You could not get away from it. Everyone had a pair, or everyone knew somebody that had a pair. Films, music, and fashion statements like Paris Hilton had presented in the 2000s were all byproducts of Phat Farm. Today's landscape in footwear is seeing chunky and bulky as a revival, and it would be cool to see a brand bring back the Phat Farm image. While Phat Farm still has a website available, the image that us 2000s kids remember will always be a statement of rizz.